harshest criticism of Donald Trump has come from conservative commentators. National Review editor Rich Lowry pronounced Donald the most fabulous whiner in all of American politics, writing that Trump acts like a spoiled child. CNN's Chris Cuomo put that question to the bombastic billionaire.
One of the columnists, Rich Lowry, says that you are the most fabulous whiner in the world.
Well, I think he's probably right. I am the most fabulous whiner. I do whine because I want to win, and I'm not happy about
Are whiners
not winning.
winners?
And I am a whiner, and I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining until I win.
Joining us now from Stamford, Connecticut is Rich Lowry, and with us here in L.A., Leslie Marshall, radio talk show host. Both are Fox News contributors. Rich, no whining in this segment, but you would think Donald Trump would hate the column that you wrote in Politico, but that wasn't his reaction.
Let this be a lesson to all of us how we all need to whine more, I guess. You never know quite what he's going to say. And my point was, you know, his complaints about the debate are really silly. It's an iron rule of these debates. If you're the candidate who's the highest in the polls, you're going to get more scrutiny and you're going to get tough questions. And do we really believe if Jeb Bush had ever called a woman a pig, that wouldn't come up in a debate? And Trump and his fans, argue, well, the question should have been more substantive. He got several policy questions and whiffed on every single one of them. So he's right. Whining. Maybe he's whining to win, but he's certainly whining.
Right. What sometimes gets lost in the chatter about Megyn Kelly's question is that she was quoting some of Trump's own previous words. Leslie, it's kind of hard for the media to embarrass this guy. Look at the way he handled that whining column.
Oh, very true. Unfortunately, whining is not going to be policy and get him to win. And Rich, I think this is the first time we've agreed about something, and that's the whining.
Ding, ding, ding.
With regard to Donald Trump.
We have consensus on the set.
I'll have to reconsider my views now.
Donald Trump is so much, and we're here in L.A., right? Donald Trump is so much that celebrity. I mean, swooping in on the big helicopter, and this is what people are lining up for. This is what the media is showing up with the cameras rolling for, and he's eating it up. I mean, as long as you spell his name right, it seems to benefit him. Unfortunately, I think it's a sad statement on our political landscape right now.
Rich, you say in another column, you're clearly not a Trump fan, I'm going to put you down in that category, that Trump is incoherent, your word, on such issues as immigration and defunding Planned Parenthood. But if you haven't noticed, Republican voters who like him aren't particularly hung up on the specifics of his policy approach.
No, no one has benefited so much from media coverage and media attention as Donald Trump. It's really the starkest demonstration of the principle that there's no such thing as bad publicity that we've ever seen. He benefits from the negative coverage. He benefits from people saying he's going to be toast, as they have repeatedly and been wrong, because Republicans are just so sick of our PC culture and our press when there are these shaming campaigns against anyone who says something controversial, and usually the target slinks away, cries, apologizes, and Trump won't do that. So every time there's a negative story, every time there's a controversy, it benefits him, at least among his fans.
Leslie, your side of the media tries to say that Trump embodies some of the ugliness of the Republican Party. But that doesn't wash, in my view, because he's so different than every other candidate. Jeb Bush, Ben Carson, Mike Huckabee, none of them are like Trump, for good and bad.
Well, look, I think the media has made Donald Trump number one. I mean, seriously. And one of the reasons the media shows up is because, they want their ratings. They want to sell their newspapers. They want people to read their blogs, their columns.
But hold on. I don't think that gives Trump enough credit, because I often hear this, like, the media are giving him this airtime and this ink and all this online coverage. Therefore, we are responsible for Trump leading the polls, leaving aside the fact that the viewers get a say. Trump has media skills that compel a lot of journalists to cover him, and if some of the other candidates had that, they'd probably get more coverage.
Well, a lot of that has to do with name recognition. I mean, that's key in an election for anybody. If when people vote, it's the number one reason that somebody, says, I'm going to vote for this person over that, is name recognition. He certainly has that. And then we have celebrity. We saw that here in California with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had absolutely zero experience, became governor of this state in a recall
got reelected.
election. Yeah, absolutely. But for for when you talk about what Donald Trump is saying, I don't think it's all of what he's saying, is how he's saying it. And you had said this very different than the other people running. He's a real shoot from the hip, non-PC, anti-establishment, outside the Beltway guy, and that's really working for him right now.
People seem to like that. Rich Lauer, you talked about whining and other candidates, cry or issue statements. Trump doesn't do that. But the way in which he picked a fight with Fox News after that presidential debate in Cleveland, and as I mentioned, has taken various shots now and then since then, although it's largely cooled off because of a truce. Do you think that helps Trump among people who don't like the media, don't like Fox, or just like to see Trump, take a club and whack people?
I think it's mostly the latter. I think as long as he's on offense, as long as he's throwing punches, as long as he's attacking, his fans like that. And Howie, I don't know whether this is a conscious strategy on his part, but he's really a genius at changing the subject. After those John McCain comments, what happens? He gets up on stage, he gives out Lindsey Graham's phone number, and all of a sudden the McCain comments have disappeared and we're all talking about Trump giving out the phone number. Same thing with the debate.
Right.
I thought his debate performance objectively, and the polls, the internals of the polls back this up, was quite poor. But the conversation after the debate, it wasn't about his debate performance. It was about whether the questions were fair and about his feud with Megyn Kelly. So he's kind of, inadvertently or not, a genius at this.
Hey, that was no accident. Let me show you, Leslie, cover in the Week magazine about the debate. It shows Megyn Kelly practically trying to choke Donald Trump. We do have Brett Baird gnawing at his leg down below. Would Tim Russert or Ted Koppel, after a tough debate performance, tough questions I mean, be ever to be depicted like that? Do you think there's anything sexist in this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, quite frankly, she was doing her job, and I think it was appropriate that the only female on the panel would ask this question. This is one of many tough questions you're going to get when you run for president, regardless of your party and regardless of how much money you have in your bank account, like he likes to remind us constantly. This cover bothers me, but I'm not surprised because we see that in not just American politics and American media, but sexism's alive and well, unfortunately, in 2015.
All right.